Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to another Saturday, 10 o'clock here, live. And here we go. So, right tonight, we're painting up some Primaris aggressors, the flamethrowers there. Had these guys forever, and I thought it was about time I got them painted. Right now, I'm just working on some line highlighting, getting the blues done up. I think I've got mostly the silver done up on this guy, most of the blue. And it's on to the sergeant here. He's going to be next. And this guy actually finished with the silver on. You can see it's hard to see there, but the backpack isn't completed yet. Missing out some silver there. But yeah, so here we go. So it was a crazy week, huh? The Adepticon previews there. That's some pretty big stuff. 10th on the way. Let's get some paint off my brush here. 10th on the way. It's going to be, I think 10th is going to be exciting. I like what I've seen so far in terms of sort of getting rid of some of the bloat. I think it's going to be really helpful. I like the fact that the changes that they made are there, but they're not super drastic, moving the attacks and the strength and the weapon skill, ballistic skill down into where the weapons are, so it shortens up the stat line at the top, a little less to look at. It is a lot like what they do with Age of Sigmar, although they didn't get rid of toughness. That was a big thing, bringing rid of toughness. They didn't do that. Strength and toughness are still there. I like the change to leadership. I think that's cool. Lots of cool stuff there. Lots of cool stuff. And we'll get to that. Right now, let's work on some more Primaris aggressors. I got to get these guys done. I want them to look nice. As I said, the March McCraig March is on, and it's time that I start the march anew. I have a Primaris lieutenant and a squad of the assault intercessors. It's time to get these aggressors done up. I have reavers and hell blasters to do, but I've had these guys the longest, so these guys definitely need to get a once over. Need to get finished up and looking battle ready, so I can start playing games with these guys. I've got this thing where I cannot play with plastic or gray plastic or unpainted. Crap. There you go. Unpainted or partially painted models. It's a weird idiosyncrasy of mine. I kind of need to have them painted up. It's weird, I know. It's a pride thing. I got to have my Marines looking tip top. Just working on getting some of these lines highlighted. These guys are a bit different too, because I did a bit of a dry brush special on these guys to get the blue the way I wanted it, which is a bit unique. But at the end of it, I still want to go to line highlighting for the end of it, just to make the lines pop just a bit, because I want them to look good. Even if I'm not the best player, I'll never win I'm never going to win a golden demon. I'm never going to win any of that stuff, but I still want my models to look the best they can. I realized afterwards for this guy together that getting his helmet done is going to be a pain in the butt. It's just in there, the way the armor comes up above his head. But hey, I know when I've forgotten this guy. It's okay to forget things. Just go back and get them later. One thing I've learned over my many years of doing this. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn from them. I'm just going to do some highlighting of the shoulder pad. Make it pop a bit more. Oh, there we go. Hello, Red Green. How's it going, man? It's not Binky the Clown. No, it is not. Hey. If you guys don't know who Binky the Clown is, you're not as old as we are. And that makes me sad, because you should know who Binky the Clown is. How's it going, man? How you doing? Thank you for popping by. I appreciate it. I was just saying there with Adepticon and all the 40K stuff, that beautiful new trailer we got for 10th edition. Obviously, Gulliman saying victory. But obviously, well, like anything 40K, it's a pirate victory at best, right? Lots of wins, but it costs so much to get those wins. But seeing all the new stuff, obviously the new updated Terminators, they look fantastic. So everybody's talking right now is the Terminators, obviously, and I think their wording is very important, saying that anybody can be a Terminator, Primaris, or Firstborn. So hopefully, and this is what I know a lot of Space Marine fans, maybe one of them, are hoping is that they stop separating Firstborn and Primaris and make them sort of mesh together like they should, so that we see. Because I mean, aggressors coming out of a Terminator out of a Land Raider would be awesome, right? These guys just a Land Raider pulls up, and all of a sudden out come Blade Guard or aggressors or even assault intercessors. That'd be a great way to get them into battle. But seeing the new Terminators is great. Obviously, there's those new Marines with the my brother. That would be Mythos from Frosted Fist. How's it going, my brother? Thank you for being here. I'm much appreciated, my friend. This week is something in Lancaster. I'm not sure. There's a con in Lancaster, I guess. Yeah. Man, I wish I could go to some of these cons because they're awesome. Just a little bit too far to reach for me at this point. Like I was saying, the new Marines they've got coming. Obviously, there's one of the new dreadnoughts. It looks like it was our missile launcher and twin las cannons, which is a very popular option for dreadnoughts. Your standard dreadnoughts right now, very tactically flexible. We put out lots of damage against vehicles, against heavy armor and light armor. It's cosplay one. Okay, cool. That's awesome. But there's obviously those Space Marines that you saw with. It looked like auto bolt rifles with flamers or a melta-gun. The sergeant looked at melta-gun, looked like there was flamers. So we could be looking at maybe some. We could be looking at maybe tactical intercessors, or well, they're not intercessors. They look like they were more along the lines of the what are they called? The Primaris wearing Phobos armor. They were not. Didn't look. Maybe I was wrong. There's a lot of action going on. Did look like some of them were wearing Phobos armor. Not the normal standard intercessor armor. It's cool. Auto bolt guns with flamethrowers. It's a lot of assault shots as it stands now. Lots of flamer shots. Perfect thing for taking on the hordes of the Tyranid. Seeing that fantastic looking new. Even 40K. Yeah, there's tons of amazing 40K cosplay out there. But seeing that new Terminator librarian was fantastic. That guy, he didn't fare too well, but that looked, and it was a great throwback to the old days, the old Terminator librarian with the giant force axe. There's an old model. It looks great. And of course, you saw another apothecary, a whole bunch of new Tyranid stuff. The rules look, from what we've seen, I'll pull them up here because I got them. Yeah, the Termagants. That's a cool thing I want to talk about. Termagants, because even what are we talking about? Just gone. Right now. I'm just I'm painting up some aggressors because flamethrowers. Why not? And right now we're talking about the new 40K stuff. I'm excited. That was Gamers. Thank you, Gamers, for being here, man. Frost Fist. Yeah, the classic dread loadout is going to be awesome. But yeah, people are talking about the Terminators because they look fantastic. Proportion-wise, they look great. I was saying earlier about them integrating Firstborn and Primaris into one cohesive force now instead of going Firstborn over here and Primaris over here, and they don't like each other, and there's chapters that don't like the new chapter, like the new so if we really need to, actually we do need that. As a Space Marine fan, we do need that. Shame on you. But yeah, the stats look cool. I can see changes already just from what they said with the Terminal one. Again, so you have movement, toughness, armor save, wounds, leadership, and OC, and that's the objective control. Now I don't know exactly how that works yet. Obviously, the Terminal's an OC of 2. Not sure how they're going to do objective. Apparently, it's changing. Pretty standard. Everything is pretty much the same. The flesh bore, their main weapon, is just says assault now, not assault 1. So obviously, Hopefully that's obviously that'll be in the core rules, which are free, which is awesome. The big change on that is it's AP 0 in this. Right now it's AP -1. I remember them saying that they were going to drop down. Some of the APs were going to drop. They wanted not things. I guess are dying too quick. I don't know. Everything else is kind of the same. Obviously, the ranged weapons and melee weapons now have the ballistic skill in them and the number of attacks they have. So each melee weapon on each Termagon is 1 attack. Weapon skill 4, strength 3, AP 0, 1 damage. And then things like the Spine Fist, Devour, Flesh Bore all have 1 attack or 2 attacks, depending on what they are. Ballistic 4. The strength varies per weapon. AP 0 on all of them, and 1 damage all of them, which is cool. So I'm not going to, with this dropping down from AP, we'll see what happens with things like bolt rifles. You'll see how it plays. Gotta get some players to print up stuff and make a binder. Well, yes and no. I think it's what they did with when Age of Sigmar came out. The rules were free to print out, and you could get a quick printout. Excuse me, of all your forces when they did the switch from fantasy to Age of, well, it's still fantasy, but from the fantasy battle game to Age of Sigmar, everything was free and printable. It's a great way to get people what they need right away, and that way you're not waiting for your codex to come out. You have all your rules. So yeah, I like this. I was looking at some of the other things that the keywords are infantry, great devour, endless multitude, and termagants. So awesome. Played some boarding action today. Excellent. How are those? Are those fun? Violent, bloody, gory, hopefully. Listen, keywords, infantry, great devour, endless multitude, and termagants. So endless multitude, not sure what that means. I noticed Tyrannid is not in there anywhere. Great devour is, so maybe they're switching up. Only printed train. It was a ton of fun. Awesome. Nice. I wish I could. I really do need to get a 3D printer at some point because I wouldn't mind printing out my own terrain. The big thing that they did for this, wanting to try boarding actions, Keaton got the train box. Nice. Yeah, I think boarding actions are going to be fun. I built a little bit of like quick terrain just to mess around the rules, and it's fun. I've just tried. Like I haven't played a game yet. Obviously, that's my big faux pas right now is I need to get out and play some games. But yeah, cool thing I noticed about the leadership though, it's 8+. I was thinking about that's like leadership 8 right now. It's like Space Marine Sergeant level. That's getting up there. So 8+. So I have a feeling instead of rolling 2 dice and doing a leadership test where having to beat a certain number, I think what they're going to do is go back to sort of a 2 dice, and you have to get an 8 or higher in order to pass a leadership test. So I think what we're going to be seeing now is the better leadership you have, the lower the number is. So these guys are like an 8+. I remember seeing they had Rippers in there with like a 10+. I can't find it right now, but they showed off Rippers. And Rippers had a leadership of 10+, and they had an OC of 1. So yeah. I think you have a blast gents. Quarters walls make it feel so thematic. Got my butt handed me and didn't even mind that. Those are the best games. Maybe those are the best games are the ones where you can get your butt handed to you. You don't care because so much fun stuff happens. Those are the best games. I've had lots of games like that over the years. Just didn't matter if you got tabled turn 3. So much crazy stuff was happening. Stuff was dying left, right, and center. That's great. Those are the best games. But yeah, like I was saying, I think what we're going to see with leadership is the better leadership you have, the lower the number is. So we could be seeing like Space Marines are on like maybe a 5+ or a 6+ or something, because it's much easier to roll 6+ on 2 dice instead of an 8+. You only got 2 dice on an average roll. You're probably getting a 7, 8 somewhere in there. Hopefully you roll well and you get that 8+. We'll see what leadership holds in the future. Again, they're trying to make things simplified but not simple. So I think there will be still some little tricks and fun stuff here and there. But I think it's gonna, just judging by this, the simplicity of this, the simplicity of just this one data sheet here, it's filling me with a cautious optimism that this game could be made a little bit less bloated than it is right now. Hopefully it stays that way. I would hope it would. I really don't want to see it start out good. And the OC stat seems pretty cool. We've seen mechanics to say this model counts as 2 miles for objective secured and similar rules before. It seems like an easy way to work out who has control. Yeah. I think that could be a thing, and hopefully, if it's done correctly, it won't just be having more models automatically wins. I mean, you could have Terminons at an OC of 2, and if you have 10 of them, that's 20. But you could have Chaos Terminators that have an OC of 3, and all of a sudden the battle breaks out. You lose a bunch of Gaunts. And maybe you're left with 5. It still counts for 10, but then you've still got 5 Chaos Terminators. And say each one's 3, that's 15. They hold the objective, right? Makes hopping around and maybe trying to keep things a little bit more alive, bit more of a priority. Objective control is cool. Little bit weird, just with, oh, by the way, your if you build up your force the right way, you have objective secured. But then if someone else has it too, then it's I think this will just make things a lot easier to help you prioritize targets a bit more. I think it'll be good in the long run. I'm really excited for this coming 10th edition. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air. I do like how they've taken some of the lessons they learned from Age of Sigmar and applied them to it to make the stats a bit simpler, a bit more fun. It'll probably make more sense than it does now. A single object grot can steal an objective from a beefy squad of 10 Terminators. Some replace both. I know it can feel weird. Yeah. It's probably one of the lessons they've learned over the last little while, going, yeah, that's not what we intended to do with that rule. We didn't intend it to do this. And that's one of the funny things you don't think about when you're inventing rules, how each and every single possibility, it's hard to determine what you're going to get right and going to get wrong. You can kind of guess and hope for the best, and hopefully the players stay away from too many shenanigans. I find it funny when people blame Games Workshop. Oh, they didn't think through these rules. It's like, no, they can't guesstimate every single bit of shenanigans that the gamers are going to put the rules through while playing the game. Because there are some people out there, they spend their entire time going, how can I break these rules? What are we painting tonight? I'm doing some line highlighting, some aggressors. There's some of the old easy build aggressors that I should have had painted up forever ago. I'm just doing some line highlighting, or trying to. It's been a long day and I'm getting tired, and my eyes are not as good as they used to be. So I'm just doing the best I can, which is, I think, all we can really ask of ourselves. But I just want to make the armor pop a little bit more in certain areas, have it look good when it's on the tabletop. So we got one guy who's been all the silver's done. I don't know if you can see that, but the silver's done, the line highlighting's done. So now it's onto gold and all the little details, wiring, stuff like that, make it pop. The chest eagle, obviously, and all the other accoutrements that come with having being in this Gravis armor, wielding heavy flamers all over the place. Because, And I was actually kind of concerned, I know other people were, how big the changes are, because Age of Sigmar was, I think, a wonderful template for how to do things absolutely right and absolutely wrong at the same time. It ticked off a lot of people. because it was such a massive change. Me doing guard girl base, just about to get to the grass, looking sweet. Thank you. No pain for me, Mythos, just a nice cold drink. That aggressor too. Think I made that. You deserve a day on your feet and convention. Yeah, man. I hope you're having fun at the convention. I hope you made it safe, sound, and you could stay on your side of the car. Everything was good. Oh yeah, no, it's. I remember when I was working at Games Workshop when they decided to do the end times. Trying to get some water here. Oh. And a lot of people got excited about that. A lot of people didn't, because all of a sudden it's a whole bunch of new models, and the word was already out that it was coming to an end, that there was going to be some big changes coming. But they had all these models coming out, all these new rules, these endless spells, all this crazy stuff for the end times. And again, they kind of doing what they do with every edition of 40K now. When it ends, they have a whole one series of books, some big changes, and then the next edition. And we kind of knew there'd be changes. I don't think everybody knew just how drastic it was going to be, because they were really quiet when the last book of the End Times came out. And spoiler alert, Chaos won, which wasn't that much of a surprise for most people. There was a lot of other little twists and turns in there, but when they ended it, Chaos winning, and Sigmar is floating through the void, holding on to the core of a planet, and just sort of out there. One can't stand it. Again, that was one of the big things. All of a sudden, like, okay, well, here's Age of Sigmar. Here's a brand new army, 2 brand new armies. A Khorne army whose name I can't remember now. I don't play Age of Sigmar myself. I'm slowly starting to lean towards it. But to see, by the way, here's the Stormcast Eternals, and everything's on round basis. Now people going, sorry, what now? Because I've got this massive, 3,000 point Skaven army, hundreds of models, all on square bases, and now I have to go round. There were a lot of upset Warhammer Fantasy fans because it was such a massive change. That being said, it was a change that was needed desperately. I can't speak for the rest of the world or even the rest of Canada, but the store I was at and the numbers I saw at that time, 40K was outselling Fantasy. It usually does. But it was drastically outselling Fantasy. Fantasy was not doing well. I mean, you can only keep up the same sort of story for so long before people go, okay, what's next? And Games Workshop tried some other, I won't say shady, just not well thought out practices, like adding a Hordes special rule to Fantasy, where if you had a certain amount of troops, you got extra bonuses to your combat resolution. You could have massive troops, and I'm not talking like Skaven or Orcs can have massive blocks, but like you take like 80 spearmen as one big unit, and you get all these bonuses for being this horde of not doing round bases. No, that was the thing. People didn't want to do the round bases. It was such a huge change, seeing a whole stat line gone, and it just a circle with like bravery, wounds, attacks, and a save. That was it, and everything else was in the weapons, the amount of attacks, the damage, just rend, all this stuff changed. And they put out the rules, they put out all the army books for free, which was nice, but it was huge. It took a long time for them to, I think, really sort of get people coming around to, okay, this is it. Some of the stories were horribly tragic. Obviously we've seen some characters. Obviously, a lot of the Chaos characters have come back because it's Chaos. They used all their characters were pulled off of the world that was before everything went belly up. But most of the other characters, some of the big characters like Teclis became a god. Marathi's become a god. Sigmar is back, but like characters like Gotrek. Hey, look who's back! Gotrek's back. Hey, his was actually a horribly, horribly, horribly tragic story, and one I've never really forgiven the writers for doing, because oh my god, they could not have made that story any more sad for Gotrek and Felix than they did. It was just, it was sad. It was incredibly sad. Basically, Gotrek, Felix loses his family to like the big chaos invasion, which is sad enough. Okay, family gone. That's sad. That's horrible. What can possibly else? Just how can we make this worse for the poor human who's been on these amazing adventures with this unkillable dwarf hero? Oh, we'll have them trapped in a cave, and then just when they think, okay, well, we've been through it all, we'll die together as best buddies in this cave. We've got no supplies, air is slowly running out. It's not looking good, but we'll finally die. Gotrex will finally have his wish, and he'll be with his best buddy in the whole wide world, Felix. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, and then a portal opens and a dwarf god pulls Gotrek out, leaving Felix to die all alone, horribly in the dark. I mean, it's perfect fantasy writing. It was in that terms, it was right on the money, because you're like, wow, right in the feels. One last dig right before the end. That's horrible, and I hate the world right now. But hey, that's fantasy for you. I'm glad 40K didn't go for the exact same sort of crazy changes, like getting rid of toughness. I think you kind of need that stuff around. It's been connected to it forever, so I think getting rid of it would have been a bit much, even by the standards of 40K and what all the crazy rules that they already have bring to the table. Hopefully they are able to make things a bit easier for all of us in the long run. I'm excited. I just want to get my Marines done. I'm going to do my best to hopefully get the starter set when it comes out. We'll see what the price is, because ouchies, those prices are going up a lot. They just, they had the Armageddon Steel Legion models back up, the metal models, and it's like $80-85 Canadian just for like a simple 10-man squad. I think they had a reinforced platoon, which is a 3 officer and all that, and I think 3 platoon squads and 2 heavy weapon squads, and a commissar, some more officers, another platoon squad, and another heavy weapon squad. It's like 600 and some odd. Yeah, it's like close to like $700 Canadian. So yeah, no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll just add that to my lamentation of not buying those models ages ago when I could have. But to me, Phil saying it'd definitely be expensive, but it'll be very cool, I'm sure. Oh, well, it'll be absolutely the coolest thing. Especially like, obviously we know the Terminators are there, but they showed off enough that I have a feeling we're going to see a whole ton of Gaunts in that set. Terminator, $700. Whoa, yeah, exactly. We'll probably see a Terminator squad, the Terminator Librarian, that maybe that Dreadnought, an Apothecary was there. So probably you have a lot of knowledge of Warhammer. Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you for listening to my ranting and ramblings. Gotta go no stop, say hi. Thank you very much. We'll see you later. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Well, they're metal. They're still metal. Mythos. Steel Age, you better be cast in actual steel. No, they're metal. Again, that's Canadian prices, so it is what it is. We have a whole bunch of taxes and all that are mumbo jumbo in there, and coming from the States. So I don't know. They were supposed to fix all this and never really worked. But I digress. That's getting a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, like what was I going to say? My mind is gone now. Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll see Gaunts, Terminators, that new auto bolt rifle combi weapon squad is probably going to be the troop choice for the Marines. Gaunts will be the troop choice for the Tyranids. It's hard to say what else. I mean, there were those weird, I want to say they're like zoanthropes, but they just those big psychic powers that fight that the librarian tragically loses. There's the apothecary. There's that weird. It's almost like the screamer from back in the day is back, but it looks a lot more limber than a Carnifex. The screamer was a Carnifex. They've sort of had it back now, but this one looks a lot more. It looks a lot more lithe, limber, and thinner. It's more. Oh, it's weird. It's not. It's like an upgraded Carnifex. It's still super powerful, but faster, which is obviously devastating. You don't want things that are that powerful to be faster, especially if you're a Space Marine. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll see. I hope that maybe they'll do that stage thing like they did with the last one, where you have like a recruit, an elite, and like a command box set. So, maybe in the main box set you get the Terminator guy and a squad of 10 Terminators against some Termagants and whatever one of the psychic leaders is. And then you go up and you add in the big Screamer thing and see that unit of... I want to call them like tactical Primaris, because they were, or maybe they're designed to hunt Tyranids. I don't know. Maybe it's the new version of Training War Veterans. And someone mentioned, I think it was, who was it? I can't remember who mentioned now. But yeah, it could be just a new way of hunting Tyranid. Auto bolt rifles put out a lot of firepower as it is. Adding in flamers and meltaguns just adds even more power to it. So, and obviously, the Phobos armor guys are meant to be sneaky, which is what you want to be around Tyranids. You want to be able to try and out-sneak them. Try and maybe try things their way, try and out-sneak them instead of trying to fight them one-on-one, because it never really works. There's just too many of them, and not enough Marines or anybody, not enough guard, not enough anything to really fight the Tyranids. I think that's why they also kind of moved the story along to a different part of the galaxy, because there's already a lot going on in the Eastern Fringe, and I think they want to go, okay, you know what, we need to move this elsewhere, give the Eastern Fringe a little bit of a break, and not have everything over there, because there's no way that the Imperium could survive on the Eastern Fringe the way it is. Going to get cash sometime and going to New Sham, and this time go to kits, just get some testers glue and red label, like put the kits together. Yeah, for my gluing, I don't never buy the Games Workshop stuff glue. I buy like hardware store super glue, works exactly the same and costs 1/10 of it. You gotta make your choices, your hobby choices on what you're going to want to afford, because it can get expensive quick. But yeah, no, this is awesome. Thank you guys for hopping on and viewing here. Yeah, so that was a big reveal. The lion, obviously that's huge. The fact that the lion's back, the model looks absolutely fantastic. It'll be cool to see what happens next with that part of the story. The fact that he's back as a new loyal Primarch. Is he going to meet up with Guilliman? Are they going to have a moment? They were never... I don't know if they were the closest of brothers, but it is in the book there that of all the Primarchs, Guilliman looked up to or admired. It was Horus, and that didn't turn out so well, and the Lions. So we'll see what happens. I think the Lions, his return's going to be pretty big, pretty cool. That was another really cool reveal. Obviously, Dante was spoiled. It looks fantastic too. He's crossed the Rubicon Primaris, which is awesome. I think obviously that's Primaris is the future. That's why my March starts anew. We're gonna keep going with this. But yeah, a lot of the fantasy stuff. I didn't really pay too much to the Age of Sigmar stuff, just because I'm not I'm super stoked for Dante. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Dante looks awesome. They needed a bug bomb thing, like bioweapons that dissolve the bugs. They, at one point back in the day, I've got to show you the ultras that only painted. But please, I'd love to see the ultras, man. But yeah, I'd love to see those. They did for a while there, back in third and fourth edition. They did have specialized weaponry to fight the Tyranid. There was, especially Tyranid war veterans. They're not like they were now. Now they're very, very simplistic. Because again, they only made, well, they don't make them anymore at all now. The models don't exist. They're out of production now. But when they finally made some, there's only 4 molds. Everything else you had to make yourself, right? I remember making them before the models came out, and you could have back in the day, 4th edition, they could have a heavy bolter, they could have a flamer. Your sergeant can have power weapon, power fist, combi weapon, the whole thing. I think mine had a power sword, a combi bolter flamer. I had a flamethrower in the squad. I had a heavy bolter. The rest had their weapons, and obviously back then they just had standard bolters. But what you could get for the heavy bolter was the Hellfire shells, and those were shells that shot out, and when they went out, they explode into needles, and they dive into the target and inject this goo, this chemical thing that would kill the Tyranid from the inside. So wounded on like a 2+ all the time. It was great for even taking on the big things. So you only get to fire 1 shot a turn. If they did that way, you can fire the standard 3 shots heavy bolter has. It was great for firing at big things because you're wounding on the 2+. They were the first squad I think that could use crack grenades as actual attacks. Before that, you could. A crack grenade, you kind of like launched at a tank. That was kind of it. It was something to hurt vehicles. But they'd learned, it said in lore that they learned to use crack grenades against the bigger things like Hive Tyrants and Carnifexuses and the Tyranid Warriors to hurt them, right? So that was really cool. But again, then when we got to 6th edition, when they had a data slate that came out for them, they changed it up. They only had the 4 models, and that's where they had they still had the Hellfire rounds in them, I believe. I'm just trying to think now. Yeah, they were able to wound on 2+ with these things, and of course now in 8th edition they just had the specialized weapons that were AP -1, damage 2. So they were, they kind of molded all into 1 shot, which is cool. Just look at that. Yeah, they've changed them up quite a lot over the last little while. Obviously, making things a bit. Yeah, they've been making things a bit simpler over the last little while. And but yeah, they used to have that. There was actually which was it? One of the Uriel Venture stories. I can't remember which one. As they fight when they're fighting the Tyranid, and they actually develop this bug bomb, and they get onto the Tyrant ship and they plant it in there, and it just blows it up from the inside. But it's like a virus bomb almost, and it's able to take destroy the Norn Queen at the center of the ship and bring the hives, the Splinter fleet, kills it dead in space, and the fleet arrives just in time to basically mop up the dregs. As the Space Marines of the Ultramarines already seems to pick gun, but looks strange. Which guns are you talking about? The new ones? Because I think they look fantastic. The new guns. They are awesome. They were a cool. You remember back in 4th edition, they wrapped up 3rd edition with what was it? It was the Witch Hunters, the Demon Hunters. I believe the Tau came out near the end of 3rd. It was something either. They did the whole 13th Black Crusade. It was a big worldwide campaign. Chaos did really well. They kind of started breaking through, so they kind of went, okay, well, let's switch it up a bit. And that's when the Battle from a Craig box set came out. The Space Marine Codex was fantastic. The art was amazing. The way you could build armies changed up a bit. They added just fantastic artwork for the characters. They added Trident War veterans. Cassius came back. They changed up a lot of stuff. They made the Battle from a Craig this really important battle. It really focused on the Space Marines of the Ultramarines of 4th edition, at least for their book, and which was great for me. But yeah, Trident War veterans are probably one of my favorite units ever to come out in any edition. And it was nice because it was an actual characterful unit for Space Marines or Ultramarines, because everybody else had, Blood Angels had their Death Company, the Dark Angels had their Raven Wing and the Death Wing, and the Space Wolves had everything, right? You had instead of a tattoo squad, you had your Grey Hunters, you had your Blood Claws, you had instead of having a full fledged Terminator squad, you had your Wolf Lords and your Wolf Guard and all that. So it was a bit different, and to actually get a unit that was specifically just Ultramarines and no one else got was really cool. Obviously, anybody can use them, and then adding in Cassius and Cronus later was pretty cool too. Those were, and their evolution was pretty cool too, going from basic upgrades to their own sort of mini characters. Was pretty nice back in the day. Listen to me reminiscing the past, huh? It's fun though. It's okay. Gonna get some lines here. A little too thick. I'm gonna have to fix it up afterwards. But that's okay. Make little errors here and there. That's okay. That's life. You just move on and keep going. Thing getting 30K Space Marines take. Yeah, no, that's a cool. I've been tempted to do Heresy myself, just because it's pretty cool. The only problem I have with the Horus Heresy stuff at the moment is that it feels a lot like blue on blue. It's Marines versus Marines, which is cool. Again, the other thing is it's bloody expensive in Canada right now. I think it's like, God, I think getting the tactical squad, I'm gonna have to look that up. Give me a sec here, guys, because it gets expensive quickly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know I shouldn't complain too much because I've seen Australian prices. There's something there. Oh, yeah. But if I'm looking at right now, the starter set right now is $365 Canadian. And that gets you everything in the box, but that's a lot of money. And then looking at even the books, I think it's $85. Let's see here. Back for a second. Yeah, the Mach 3 Tactical Squad, you get 20 Space Marines in there is $100. The vehicles are all 100, 140. If you get a support squad, the Legion Mark 6 Heavy Support Squad is $148. Yeah, they're all the same. It's pretty daunting trying to start. Yeah, eBay is a good way to get it now. I think to try and see, to try and get started in some of these games. It's getting to the point where it's like, I don't feel like spending that much money just to start a brand new army. And there's nothing wrong with the Horus Heresy series or the game. It's just, the price. I'm getting priced out of a few things, which is unfortunate. And it goes back to the big question a lot of people are asking is, when is 3D printing going to come in fully? And obviously, there are people who are doing 3D printing right now. and like I said, printing off the boarding action terrain. Why not? I mean, there's something said about the hard work and effort and time and development that goes into making these sets and these even train sets. But it's when it gets to the point where you're like, wow, I can't afford to get in that game. Why would you do so? Why would I do such a thing? Give me a second. I'm just trying to get some lines done up nicely here. Yeah. There we go. Good lord, these guys got lots of lines on them, huh? This might be the only unit of aggressors I do. There's too many lines, so many layers of armor on here. I get they're supposed to be these big time tough guys up at the front lines and need the armor, but oh my lord. This guy's got like a boot made out of a boot made out of a boot. Now let's see. Who would do such a thing? Who would do such a thing? I don't know, Mythos. Who would do such a thing? Dastardly, underhanded people trying to figure out ways to afford their hobby. Jeez. Oh, underhanded, evil people. But yeah, when that's a big thing, especially with the way economies are going right now, people are not going to have a lot of excess money to be spending on $300 and some odd dollar starter sets. It's just the way of the world right now. Not a lot of people can go, yeah, I'm going to drop that. And again, at the same time, a lot of people do have that type of disposable income. So more power to them, I guess. Yeah. Did one tank, $55, same 3D printing at 10 of the same tank. Yeah. Of course, there is cost to that too, getting yourself a good printer and being able to work it. I think part of obviously prices the way they are because convenience too. I'd love to be able to print out my own tanks. I'd love to be able to print out my own intercessor marines or whatever new marines that come in. I'd love to be able to print out the new Terminators, but that require me to have a machine and again take the time to ensure. Why is that arm wobbly? That arm should not be wobbly. Okay. Take the time to ensure I've got everything working the way it's supposed to be working, and I've got all the right filament, the right resin, or what have you, depending on how you choose to do it. So again, there is something said about being able to just buy the model, but man, it's all up to the person doing the purchasing, I guess. Good lord. No, I was really happy with a lot of those reveals. Lots of cool stuff there. Then the other one I should talk about is the end of the Kill Team season with the Gallo of Dark Falls. I think that's what it was called. It's on its way to collide with a planet. That's some pretty big stuff. Obviously, with the end of one season means we'll get a new one, and I'm excited to see what new kill teams they'll come up with. Perhaps they may do something in the Eastern Fringe. Or no, sorry, not the Eastern Fringe. We're getting away from that. We're going on the other side. It'll be cool to see where they go next. See what's out there. What new... and I have a feeling the first one of this new season will probably be something to do with Tyranids, just because that's the new hotness for right now. Getting new Tyranid stuff out, new Marine stuff out. It'll be cool to see what they come up with. But I don't know. I'm stoked for all the reveals. Yeah, the reveals were great. There was so much cool stuff, whether it's all the sort of, I want to call them specialist games like Warcry, all that cool stuff. The Gallo Dark Falls, that'll be cool. Seeing the Beastmen come back is pretty cool. They've sort of always been not always, back in second edition, you could get metal Beastmen models, and of course there's been the Beastmen Bounty Hunter in Necromunda, and they've had lots of articles about the Beastmen, and they're definitely that's where That's where the Imperium draws the line on acceptability. You can, you can be a ratling or an ogrin, right? They're within acceptable means of hey, look, there's humans, yay, and rattling and ogrins are right down here, and there's a line. And beastmen and everything else, they fall into that line. They used to have beastmen. No, Oni is crazy. Not you, Mythos. There was a beastman bounty hunter in Necromunda. I'm not sure if he's still around. It probably on the Forgewell website. But yeah, there was a beastman there. It's probably only a few places you could operate. They don't usually like to operate in the open because everyone would be trying to kill them. I believe also, I know there was also a race of cat people that were, again, back in second edition, who were sort of falling under the same thing, that they weren't, I can't remember why they showed up that way, whether it was a natural evolution, like rattlings or ogrins that are just on either really on planets really high or really low gravity. So I believe ogrins are like super high gravity, so they come out huge but dense as hell, and then rattlings are on slightly less gravity, so they're smaller, usually on aggro worlds, usually not feeling it. That's it. Yeah, they had guard beastmen. They actually had beastmen. They were armed with chainswords, and I think there was one, if I remember correctly, it was a chainsword and a plasma pistol. But yeah, those were the days. Those were the fun times. Again, second ed was different. That's the only way to put it. Second ed was different. It was they were still messing about with continuity, and they're still messing about with lots of that stuff. So it was a different beast. Third ed is when it came to its prime, and they had really had at that point all the extra stuff down and ready, and people were, the foundation had been laid at that point. Did you find that yet? Oh, my dice. No. You're going to ask that every time, dude, because no, I'll never find it. It's a rhetorical question. Right? But yeah, the cat people are now. Yeah, they were there. They had a whole bunch of different races back in the day. I mean, if you really want to go back, G-My Man. Yes, he is the man. One day you will. Yes, one day I'll find out. Then I will have my revenge. No. Well, maybe. Who knows? Depends how I feel that day. But yeah, if you really want to go crazy, look up the old Rogue Trader stuff, because it was all over the place. They hadn't really figured out what Space Marines really were fully yet. They weren't the genetically engineered. It's like the pick of destiny with things. It was crazy. It was all over the place. Everybody had bolt guns, weird weapons. I remember correctly there was one of the Ultramarine librarians was half human, half Eldar. Yeah, this was back in the day. It was such a weird, delusional game, second edition. And then, but my actual question is, what's your actual question, G, my man? What is it? Come on, don't leave us hanging. Don't leave us in suspense. Don't. Edge of the seat. Come on, man. What Ninja Turtle's my favorite? Ooh, Chaos Beast with 40 cameras. Pretty much, yeah. Hey, Hellchild, what's up, man? How's it going? Yes, Chaos Beastie with 40 cameras. Yeah. Is it red for Ralph? I don't know. See, I just got this. I guess so. It's just a shirt. It's just don't mess with the ninja. Get the old school. I don't know. Hey, if you're a true Ninja Turtles fan, you'll remember when all they wore was red. All four of them, right? Back in the day, way back in the day. It was an actually adult comic book back in the day. It wasn't for kids. That came later. That happened in the later years. The old orc pig guns. That I'm not sure, but I never played orc. But to answer your question, my it is a cartoon. I don't know. I think my favorite was Michelangelo because he was a party dude, right? Yeah, no, I've been seeing Michelangelo. He was, oh, so you're the ninja. It's a good clean shirt. It's nice. Just says don't mess with a ninja. It's my around house having fun shirt. Kids love it because they're like, what's that? It's a Ninja Turtle, and I get to show them Ninja Turtle stuff, and they love it. Oh yeah. What was I doing next? I gotta finish up this guy's silver. Forgot about that. But I think most of the line highlighting is done on all these guys here. Just have to finish up some on this guy. I should do that first. Stop distracting me. Sorry to do. Nah, man, that's what the show's about. It's about having fun. Things are serious. We're just talking about the reveals. So here's a question for everybody. I'll throw this to you here. What was your favorite reveal? What was your favorite Games Workshop reveal of that's come out? Whether it was the leaked Dante all the way to the fantasy stuff, was it the 10th edition or what have you? What was your favorite reveal of the night or of that day? Right, I stayed up late to watch that, but what was everyone's favorite moment? What made you go, oh yeah? Let me know. We can discuss and tell you how wrong you are. All are. No, that's me. I won't do that. So I do some more highlighting here. 10th is over. I'm just saying the cool one. Yes, those guys were cool. I love the, and it looks like there's a couple different designs there. I'm assuming for different, maybe some different abilities. We'll see when they come out. But yeah, I like the fact that they called him Clever Girl. Right, lots of clever girls there. The Raptors, basically, which is nice. I remember how clunky the old cold ones used to be, and then the Dark Elves got some new ones with the high elves, the lizard men kept the old style for right up to the end, I think. So that was pretty disheartening. Yes, yeah, the new Terminators. Yeah, I think you're gonna have lots of people agreeing with you about the new Terminators being their favorite because man, they look good, and they do look better proportioned than back in the day, which is a nice little bonus. You want them to look better, especially since they're we're adding some juice to them now. I like how they still need to use a teleport homer to really sort of come in. That was cool. Dark Elves ones look sick, but they never. Yeah, yeah. The old ones were a bit derpy, as you said. They were a bit off. Again, they looked good back in the late '90s, early 2000s, but by the time they got new ones, the Dark Elves got new ones. Now here's a follow-up question: who's excited for the old world? Because that seems to be drumming up a lot of I'll say cautious optimism from old school fantasy players. The ones that, like I was saying earlier, kind of I think got a little bit hurt, miffed at Games Workshop for changing up the bases and all the stuff that they've become so used to. Do you think it'll bring people back? Do you think it'll make them a bit more? Yes, what you like it? Seventh edition, of course. Yeah. I know from what I've seen the old world stuff, I think it's going to be pretty cool. Square bases. I think it's there, and I think they're taking their time to make sure it's right, so that people are excited. People will want to come back, and I think it'll give people a little ability to go back to the shelves or the boxes, the storage containers. Hey, time to pull out my Bretonnians. That looks like it's a new one though. They've shown off the Bretonnians and the Undead, which is kind of a classic matchup. The crusading Bretonnians against the undead. I just kind of there are a few characters that I know the story's supposed to take place, I think 200 years or so before the end times. I'm not seeing the chunky ones are bad. I'm seeing the current ones, not the new ones. Let's start clicking. Yeah, but I know this Warhammer, the old world. I think it's supposed to be set somewhere like 200 years um, before the end times. So some of the characters won't be around. At the same time, some characters like Teclis and Tyrion will still be there. A lot of the undead characters, the Von Karsteins, will still be there. Cetra the Imperishable is probably still going to be there. Obviously, they'll be able to come with some new Chaos Lords, some new Chaos Warriors. There'll be no Archon, I don't think. Karl Franz won't be there. Thorgrim Grudgebearer could be there, but maybe as a simple Thane instead of the High King. Lots of cool stuff. And the fact that they want to get Cathay in there is great, because that's something that people were asking about forever before they ended the fantasy line. It was one of those things. People were like, bring us Cathay. We want Cathay, 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 Cathay. And then, of course, it never materialized. And then, boom, end of the world. I remember they even went on a big spiel at one point about how you could make an army that's based on Cathay, but it wasn't actually a Cathay army because they hadn't covered Cathay yet. So they wanted because I remember seeing someone did that. They took high elf parts, lots of high elf parts and some other things, and they created a whole army of Cathay, very oriental. Yeah, Kislev. Kislev was another cool one. I remember when those models came out, it was a very small army. It was basically supposed to be an allied army. It came out to support their sort of original end times that never really ended anything. It had probably one of the most anticlimactic endings of all time. Basically, Archon showed up, started beating the living heck out of stuff. Volton showed up, got his butt handed to him by Archon. And then the Orcs showed up, and their big leader, who can't remember his name right now, came in and laid out Archon and chased the Chaos Warriors away. So I think it was Mindenheim that was being attacked. As all of a sudden, all the warriors are worn out. And they might bring them because they're big. They are. Yeah, Grimgor, that's it. Grimgor, thank you. Grimgor Ironhide came in and just laid Archon out, as he should. He's like the orc. And then the vampires showed up. My favorite orc. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Grimgor was awesome. The model was great. Black Orc boss. Then the vampires show up and chase the orcs away. And then the Grand, what's his name? One of the Grand Theologist guys from the Empire threatens him, and he marches out to fight him, and the vampires leave. And basically, you're left with the end times. It really didn't end anything. The story didn't really get pushed up any. Archon fled, and then, of course, they sort of... It's kind of what they did with the 13th Black Crusade when it was a worldwide campaign. The Chaos won, but it really didn't change anything. Cadia was still there. They introduced some new armies, some new units, and stories kind of kept going up until the end of 7th, when they finally said, okay, here's the 13th Black Crusade. By the way, here's a new section of Eldar society that you need and all that. Yvrain and all that. Oh, by the way, Cadia got blowed up. There is no more Cadia. A bunch of heroes get squelched. By the way, Guilliman's back, and here's some new Marines. Right. So it was cool to see. I'm hoping, hey, maybe we'll see Grimgor and Ironhide back. Who knows how long orcs actually live for? You never really know. They could be thousands of years old. It's going to be crazy. I think Cathay is going to be the ones really going to get people excited the most, because all the other armies, well, they'll get new models, new sculpts, little variations. We've seen them all before. High elves, dark elves, the dwarves, Empire. Even though the Empire in this one is without a proper leader, and the princes and the elector counts are sort of all vying for that position. So I think you see an Empire that's sort of against itself. Even Bretonia, they're all there. The Lizardmen, Chaos, Ogres, they've all been there before. Cathay is the first one that's really going to set itself apart from everything else because it's Cathay. We've never had a Cathay army. Obviously, that changed with Total War 3. We got to see what they look like. And I'd love to see some of those like have dragons on the battlefield like that, like Asian inspired dragons instead of the Western inspired ones. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but to have them floating around the battlefield, that giant jade warrior statue. I think it was jade. I might be wrong. It could be. What was it? I can't remember. Yeah, they're super dope. They are. They look amazing. I can't wait to see them. All their cool magic users, those balloons, which I mean, God, if you told me that was something that was going to be around 20 years ago, I would have laughed at you. Yeah, having the Asian influence is great. Yeah, I mean, and that's, they hinted at it beforehand with the ogres, because the ogres are kind of, especially the way they're designed, we're kind of supposed to be, I think, based more on Mongolian, well, very loosely, obviously. I might be wrong, but I mean, they had warriors that looked. They had one, I think, one of their. God, what are they? It's been so long. They had that sort of a mercenary unit that you get them like Amazons, yeah, yeah, they do, yeah. They had one. They had this mercenary unit that you could use in like Empire armies or Bretonnian. I don't think Bretonnian actually, but Empire armies, Dwarf armies are. One was a ninja. He's dressed up like a ninja. There was another one that was kind of dressed up like a samurai. One that was sort of had a. There was also one that was dressed up like he's from the Empire. So, but obviously they've been as close as you got. There was the Empire, there was the mountains here, and on the other side was a Great Maw. Yeah, Genghis Khan kind of looking exactly. Yeah, the Great Maw, and they were over here, and then right over here, basically right at the doorstep, was Cathay, and they had their own. They had the big road, and it was all the way over here, right? And they never really got that far over. They have some great stuff in the video game. Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of their stuff, and it does look pretty amazing. I'm hopefully it'll we'll get to see a bit more on the tabletop eventually. They're warriors. It looks like being obviously that they're human, most of them anyways. So some of them may have that some sort of weird connection to their great dragons and all that. But looks like they had spearmen and swordsmen, sort of a variation on the Empire. Lots of bowmen. So it'll be cool. Lots of other little monsters and creatures running all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of all of that in the long run. Anyways, it'll be fun to watch. I was trying to go over what I did before with these things and make sure I'm following the same lines here. I'm trying to get the silver done up on here for this last aggressor so I can finally move on to something else, getting his more of his armor done up, or all the little tidbits done up here and there, and hopefully get these guys done this week. And I can move on to the Hellblasters or the Reavers I have. Try something a bit different. Again, trying to get my Marines caught up to the new age. Hopefully sooner than later, because I'm really excited to see what's coming next in terms of models. I'll definitely want to get those new Terminators and that new unit, whatever it is. I don't know, the new troop choice they have there to go along, because a whole unit of guys with assault bolt rifles, like I said before, and flamers is nasty. It's a lot of firepower. I think is kind of what they're going for, but who knows? Space Marines should have a lot of firepower. They've only, especially if they're fighting NIDs, I think every Space Marine player knows you just need lots of firepower to contend with the Tyranid, because there's way too many of them. But yeah, no, I'm hoping you guys are enjoying all this me rambling on here and having some fun here. It'll be nice to see what's. Hopefully, I can evolve this into something a bit more entertaining. I'm still learning how to do this, and it's a fantastic show. Thank you, Mythos. I appreciate that. I'm just still learning, trying to get this done. Trying to get stuff done while also being entertaining. It's not the easiest job in the world, as you guys most of you guys know. But gonna have as much fun as we possibly can. But yeah, if you rebase stuff, just put on a new base and glue the old one. Yeah. Tell someone what made you love Ultramarines. Oh, that's a story that requires hours and hours and hours and much mead and food, wine and drink. I'm just having water now. But what made me fall in love with Ultramarines? It's a loaded question, my friend, and you brought this on yourself, so you have no one to blame. Everybody blame him. Bute, I wish. No, I was actually out in a town. Well, say town, a city. Is he your favorite farmer? Of course he is. Like, come on, man. Big Blue. He's the guy. He's the man. Right? I was out in a town. I say town again. City called North Bay, which is about 4 hours north of where I live right now. My grandparents and I had family who lived out there back then. And this was mid 90s, and I just stopped off at a local comic book store picking up probably a Wolverine comic book, maybe some X-Men, maybe some Spider-Man. I'm a big Marvel fan. Hate me if you want, but I'm a huge Marvel fan. And it was funny. I walked to the store and look just 45 degrees where I'm standing, and I see this hobby store. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go there, right? And at this point, I had no idea what 40K was. I had no idea, and I walked in, and it's funny. I'll tell you some more later because the store is actually but I walk in and I see there's some guys in an adjacent room. There's a big table. They're playing. I don't know what game they're playing. Probably fantasy. There's armies laid out. There's racks of models, boxes, and there's this massive wooden rack of just army books and codices and all that. Just laid out there, and I'm looking around and I'm immediately drawn to the cover of what was called Codex Ultramarines back then. And on the front is this Marine. He's got this massive banner behind him. He's standing there. He's got the laurel wreaths on, lots of blue, and he's just surrounded by Space Marines. You can see Devastator Marines, Terminator Marines. There's a whirlwind in the back, just Codex Ultramarines, and I picked it up and I started reading it, and that was it. I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. There's just leafing through it because it gives you obviously the history at that point of the Ultramarines, and you get to see these other Marines, just seeing the army laid out. Again, this is one that had that famous picture where they did the entirety of the Ultramarines army. There's a Thunderhawk, all 10 companies, all the Tech Marines and vehicles, this massive army. You know, oh my god! Reading through Tactical Marines, all this cool stuff, and that was it. I was hooked. And, I started bothering my parents. I'm like, oh, Mom, Dad, you got to get me these things. And they had no idea what was going on. I think the first models I got back then, I got a blister of 2 Metal Beastmen and a blister of Morgana Le Fay from Fantasy. Since I've since given those away. And good night, Hell Child. Good night. Good to see you again. Thanks for popping by. Hopefully it was fun for you. And then after that, I got a box of plastic Space Marines, Tactical Marines, and I got a box of, what was it? I still have some of those Tactical Marines too. And I got a box of Eldar Guardians with las guns, because everybody then, it was different. They had las guns. They had shuriken catapults, but they had las guns. The Guardians did. And I got a box of the really old school plastic Stormtroopers. This is when they were all wearing green berets. right? They were all like Green Berets. They had these massive backpacks on. They still had the las guns and the tubes coming out, the pipes coming down them. These massive backpacks. I have no idea what happened to those. I lost them over the years, probably. But then I finally started collecting Space Marines. I got a tactical squad. I got a captain. I got, and then I was slow to start then because I was all over the place. Thanks ADHD. And then finally with third edition, that's when I started really getting. I got Terminators. I got Devastator Squad. I've got Predator tanks, the whole shebang, dreadnoughts, and the rest is sort of history. And to go back to that store, I was in North Bay last. It was a few years ago now. But for like a family reunion, my grandparents have long since passed. We went back there to see other family. Mike got those minis. I look at my guard. Hey, they were awesome. They were monopose plastic guys. It was literally you stuck the backpack on, you stuck the hands into the model because the hands were all one thing, and and that was it. But I went back there, and I went back to where the store was, and I noticed the store was closed. So now I'm on the opposite street from originally. So originally I was on this side of the street. I looked over here, there it was. Now I'm on this side of the street. It's closed. It's been empty for a while. It looks like the building hasn't been used in a few years. I look again on a 45-degree angle, and there it is. It is literally on the other side of the street in a newer looking building. So obviously the building it was before was gone. I went in, and there it was. And it was the same store. Obviously new people. It was cool because when I went in there, I bought a plasma obliterator, which is that massive plasma cannon, the huge fortification, the massive plasma cannon. And that was cool because I was actually working Games Workshop at the time, and we did not get our plasma obliterators. We were supposed to, and then we didn't because they didn't make enough, or they decided to send more to the people buying online. So we never got our plasma obliterator. I was very upset because I really wanted one, and I still have to paint it like a lot of other things. I haven't painted it fully yet. I will eventually. But I went there and I bought it. So it was kind of cool. It felt like going through a little bit of a full circle with that, because I went from, and again, it had been years at that point since I'd been in North Bay, but I always went there as often as I could when I was younger, when I had the opportunity. I'd go, yeah, let's go to that store again. And I'd pick up a model or two, or a white dwarf or something. It was cool. But that's how I fell in love. That's my long, overblown story of how I fell in love with Ultramarines. It was that one codex back at second edition, and it's just going on from there. Obviously now I'm painting Primaris Marines, because why not? Because they're cool. All right, so I think I made some good progress. Got line highlighting done, everybody. Got the silver done. I'm going to wait for that to dry up, and then I can give it a wash with my Nuln oil. Nice. And then now it's all the little details, getting helmets done, getting eyes done. But they're a step closer to being done, which makes me very happy. They're almost usable. Once I get a few more things done, I can call them battle ready. Hey, no, I'm glad. Thanks for asking. Gee, it's cool. That's what I like to hear about. Everybody's got their own story of what made them fall in love with it. I know a lot of people, when I worked at Games Workshop the second time, it was the video games that started bringing people in. Someone played Dawn of War, someone played Space Marine, someone had played any number of those games. Even the fantasy stuff had some stuff at that point, and going, hey man, I played this game, or I saw this and I want to look at it. And it's a great tool to get people to come in to play the games. It's not for everybody, obviously, but it works in a few people. People come in, and we get to see the physical version of what they just had on their screen, which is nice. I love to hear love and the passion of someone goes back in time until I started to take back with you. Well, I'm glad. I'm hoping that's if I can take people back to those golden days. I mean, we're still in golden days now. It's I think it's one of the I like getting people excited for it, because there is, I think we've talked about this last time, there's a lot of negativity out there. Got my first mini from back in the day. 30th anniversary of my guy is when it came out. Yeah, hey, I have some 30th anniversary fantasy stuff. That was cool. I still have to put it together. Some of it still sitting there, big chunks of metal. There's a lot of negative, but like I was saying, there's a lot of negativity. A lot of channels that have built their audience and their niche on putting things down, especially when it comes to Games Workshop. When you're at the top, everybody wants a piece of you, and they are at the top. But there's lots of other companies that do great stuff. Games Workshop is at the top. Oh, it's 40K, 40K 30th. Oh, the would that be the Imperial Space Marine? Am I wrong? The years meld together when you're my age. Old now. The years go by. No, but there's a lot of negativity, and it can drive people off. It can make people not want to be part of it. And I think that well, there you go. Okay, the Imperial Space Marine, cool. I think the way things are going nowadays, and how fast big companies can just disappear, how they can have just a little bit of bad time and poof, they're gone. Or and how many model companies come and go over the years? How many model companies have come out with something really, really good, but it's just not enough and they're gone? I think we should be really happy and grateful that we've got all the different miniature armies, whether you agree with how the company has done it, all these different models and miniatures and games out there. We should just be enjoying it, having fun, right? The rule of cool, the rule of fun, right? Just have fun. Just, if we get people excited and into something, go for it, because that's what it's supposed to be all about. It's supposed to be about fun. I remember, God, back in the day, early 2000s, there was some company did a really awesome version of Starship Troopers, basically right out of the movie. You had your mobile light infantry. You had all the different bugs. It was right out of the movie. And it was really cool. And I remember I was at a local, friendly local game store, and I played a demo of it. It was really fun. They had the whole mobile light infantry. They took stuff from the books. You had they had these like mech suit things. I think they showed up in one of the later movies. You had the massive bug that shot plasma out of its butt and had a flamethrower in its mouth. It was really, really cool. It looked great. Unfortunately, it didn't. It didn't survive. I guess it couldn't get enough traction, and it didn't survive. There's been so many games like that you get models from. Oh man, what's this? Oh yeah, it's this game, and it just couldn't take off. That model I repainted from the Dreamblade, that was Wizards of the Coast. They had a whole game based around it. It was like chess mixed with miniature wargaming, and it was around for like a couple years. Gone. Right now, Wizards of the Coast still around, but the whole game is gone. It's so even the biggest companies could fail making a game, right? Really appreciate you, gents. Always, hey man, we appreciate you. I appreciate you guys for the stuff you do. The groups I'm on, the Facebook pages, the channels I watch. It's all again, like I was saying in one of my other streams there. I censor what I watch because I don't need the negativity. There's too much of it. And there are certain channels I watch because it's consistently about having fun. It's consistently about just enjoying the hobby, which I think everyone is entitled to do. Because it's a lot of fun, and I think we need to spend more time, like I said, appreciating what we've got instead of being upset about what we don't have. Because, it could all go away really, really quick. I'm going to get some more Nuln oil here out. So I need just a little bit here. So I want to get this guy done up. I want to get his metal done up here. And, each game offers you a chance to try something new. Like I said, I in that little video I put up yesterday, I bought myself a Lord Celestant from Age of Sigmar. And that's one of the first models that came out for the range way back in the day. I've actually got them built and primed, but I want to get these guys going. But I'm going to get him painted up. I have one of those easy build units. The guy's the massive magical crossbows that come with the Griffhound. I can't remember they are, but I should get those guys painted up. Again, I may never use them, but it's fun models to paint. Lord Celston looks amazing. I love the fact. And I was actually looking at the rules, and his cape's a weapon. He's got a big Sigmarite sword, another hammer, and even his cape is a weapon. It can actually like shoot out with these hammers, and he's got like this multi. Yeah, and it hammers the end of each one of these little strands with cape, and it's a weapon. Like, hey, my cape's a weapon. Why not? Because it's cool. That's why we do it. That's why we do it. But yeah, no, I think we need to. I think we need to just have fun and appreciate the fact that we, after all this time that I've been, I've been doing this 26 years, almost 27 years now. The fact that I've still been the same hobby that long, I've seen so many other things come and go. Yeah, one came out like that, some throw. Yeah, the paint and play kits are always cool. They still do those, not the same way they used to, but they're still cool. They're still fun. They don't put enough models of them now that they used to. I remember they started doing those paint sets with fantasy. It was the dwarves and goblins, and you got 10 of the night goblins and a whole bunch of paints, but they were those little paint by number, not like this. These are some paints from the new sets, the newer sets. But you got those little paint by number things. Pop the lids open, and then I did some Space Marine ones. I think you got like 5 Space Marines. Again, they were the mono pose where the guy just had you shove the bolter that had the hands on it and the backpack on the back, and they kind of changed up. So one was leaning left or right, depending on the pose at the time. But yeah, no, it's I think this hobby is great. I love this hobby, and I will never stop loving this hobby. And I hope you guys have fun with it too, because that's what it's all about. The old 40K guy, Orc Bikes. Hey man, actually, it's funny about those old Orc bikes. I think it was the buggy, the Scorcha, and the old bikes were actually offshoot from Gorka Morka. And when Gorka Morka stopped being a game, they just said, okay, throw them in the Orc line. So it was, and then of course the new Orc bikes came out and all that. But yeah, those old Orc bikes, the old ones where the guy's sitting there and he had these 2 big shooters sticking out the side. The old buggy, you can just tell the Orcs look a bit different. It's because they were from Mini Warmut. Hey, drop in and say hi. Thank you for dropping by, buddy. Thank you for dropping by. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. But yeah, those were all Gorka Morka. Gorka Morka's got me Orcs. There you go. Gorka Morka was a great game. It was kind of like, it was like vehicular Necromunda, sort of. That's not the old school Necromunda, but yeah, it was basically Orcs versus Orcs. Some worship Gork, some worship Orc or Mork, and they were fighting over basically resources to build an effigy to one or the other. And then you had there actually had some humans in there that would dress up as Orcs. They'd wear Orc style armor and gear, paint their faces and bodies green. So it was weird. It was a lot of fun. It was what they called back in the day a specialist game. They don't call them that anymore. They're just, I don't know what they call them now. They have the box games. I think that's what they call them on the website now. I'll look that up because I can. But yeah, they had, let's see here. Yeah, box games now is what they call it. But they had specialist games. That's where they had Mythos, you beautiful, sexy bow tie wearing beast. He is a good looking man. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. Oh, but we had the specialist games. Necromunda. Well, Gorka Morka died earlier on, but Necromunda, Inquisitor, Battlefleet Gothic, which is a cool one. But yeah, those are Blood Bowl. Those were the specialist games back in the day. They had their own, even the old White Dwarfs had their own page. Epic, War Master, which were the smaller versions of 40K and fantasy. Yeah, it was a cool time to be a hobbyist back then. It's still cool, but I wouldn't mind seeing Battlefield Gothic come back. I think that'd be a lot of fun ship-based battles. I know some of you guys out there are 3D printing them and still playing. Awesome. It was a great game. Except if you had to play the Eldar, because the book was like, here's all the rules. These are all the rules that everybody has to follow for ship movement and firing missiles and all your fighter jets and all that. And the Eldar just completely ignore that. The Eldar just ignore it all the time. They just do whatever they want because of the Eldar, which was, Necromunda back in the day. The new Necromunda is a lot of fun. It's cool, but the old Necromunda had a bunch of craziness to it that, the Gothic video game. That'd be cool. I wouldn't mind having the old Battlefield Gothic game though back. The video game is cool. The video game is cool. It is. But yeah, there was nothing like seeing a whole bunch of ships and tying games together was fun. I remember they so true. No, I think, is it true about 10th edition? I have no books, just indexes. They'll have the index. From what they've said, is the indexes and the core rules will be free right off the bat, so you can print them all off. Now, apparently, there's going to be a starter set. Obviously, there's going to be the big rule book. There's going to be codices along the way. Apparently, there's going to be lots of cards, though, even more so now, so you can actually build your army and only bring the cards you need to play that army. Apparently, everything's going to be on one sheet, rules for your army. And apparently, characters are what's going to help build the type of army you build. Instead of going, well, here's my Ultramarines, and here's the characters and things I'm going to take, but why I play Ultramarines. Now it's going to be, I take this character so I can build this kind of army. I take this character, I can build this type of army. From what I understand, what they were saying back in the, but yeah, like what they were saying in the reveal there, it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be, Hobbyston, hello, sir. Hello. Heyo. How's it going? Thanks for being here. That's awesome. But yeah, they're going to have index cards now, I guess, so you can just sort of take the units you want and go, okay, and that's all you need. You don't have to have all these books. And I'm hoping, my hope is that with all this sort of trimming down, just got home from work. Wow. Trying to wind. Well, thanks for joining me. Help and wind with us for a while. I'm hoping that this will pare down the books a bit. Maybe we can even get rid of the supplements. I get what they're trying to do with it. Obviously, they want to sell stuff, but I think the supplements just way too much. In order to play like Space Wolves, you have to have the Space Marine Codex and the Space Wolf supplement or the Codex. It's too much. It's just too much. I think what you need to do is just have one book, have a Space Wolf book, have a Blood Angel book, have a Dark Angel book, have a Grey Knight book. That's it. Have the characters in there. I hope they get rid of, not get rid of, that's the wrong word, but move things like the Crusade campaign stuff into its own book, especially since it looks like they're cutting down on stratagems majorly. I think it's time you move all of that, because it's the same thing in every book. You just have different, you even have the same sort of stratagem, same sort of Crusade bonuses, but they just have slightly different names. Universal special rules are back. Yeah, cutting back on the books would be great. Freaks upset they got rid of supplements for code compliance chapters, make his fist less special, flavorful. I have a feeling they're going to add that flavor and that specialness into characters. I think, like I said, it's going to be character driven. I think you take Gulliman, you're going to have this sort of Ultramarines army. You take I can't remember his name right now. The new Imperial Fist character. Please, someone, I can't remember his name. You're going to take him, and you're going to have a certain sort of Imperial Fist army. You're going to take, Tor Garadon, thank you. You're going to take Abaddon the Spoiler, and you'll have a certain type of Chaos army. You're going to take Karn the Betrayer, you're going to have a certain type of World Eater army. So you take Angeron, you're going to have another sort of World Eater army, right? So I think that's how it's going to work. And I'm sure there'll be some rules in there to have different armies as well. But it's just too many books. It's way too many books. I mean, they did it back in 3rd edition, where like if you had the Space Marine Codex, you want to play Blood Angels, you had to have both, because a lot of what was in the Blood Angels Codex was said, watch this. But again, the books weren't this thick. They were like magazine thick. So carrying 2 of them around was nothing. Now it's like a thud, 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 right? It's too much. It is. I feel bad for guard players like Mythos there who just picked up a book only to find out they've only got 6-7 months before it's kind of invalidated, which is not the best thing to do to your people. But I mean, guard are really cool now. I think they really got a really nice codex. But yeah, I think no, they will have books. You'll have your codex. You'll have your big rule book. What I'd love to see is return to the little rule book. It was a fantastic little thing. They did that in 4th and 5th. I think in 6th and 7th, well, just a little book. It was just this little rule book, and it was amazing because none of the fluff was there. It was a little bit, just so you kind of got the idea of each army, but it was all the rules. And the universal special rules are great because no matter how much you tweak the name, it's the same rule. Like that back in the day, fleet of claw, fleet of hoof, fleet of foot. It's all the same rule. So it is really nice codex indeed, but just the point of the matter. Let me use a little more than a few months. That's true. It is unfortunate. What can I say, man? That's the way the company decided to do it. Yeah, I think they should just go back to everybody. Yeah, you need main book if you want space. Yeah, I think they need to just give everybody their own codex, and make sure they're good. Make sure they work properly. Obviously, we're going to see what the new edition is like very, very soon this summer. So I'm thinking probably June, July. That's probably when that'll drop. With a lot of fanfare. I think it'll be great. Got to go see you next week. Thank you, Red, for coming by, man. I appreciate that. Always great to see you. And hopefully, yeah, I'll definitely see you next week. I'll have another video, hopefully showcasing these guys when I get them done. If I ever get them done. I kind of want to because I definitely want to move on to Hellblasters that Mythos sent me a few years ago. 8th edition, they released all the codex. They did Psych Awakening series before they made the codex out of date. That's true. It could be worse. There were, I remember, between 3rd and I think 7th, the codex release was just all over the place. It was a nasty mess. You would have Space Marines got a 3rd edition codex, and then they got a 2nd, 3rd edition codex was updated, and then they got a 4th edition codex, and they had a 5th edition codex. And in that time, armies like Orcs and Dark Eldar and I think Necrons got 1 3rd edition codex, and that carried them through till 5th edition. And then everybody got something at 5th edition for the most part. I think with the exception, I mean, there was a few that didn't. That's when the Necrons got a big redo. That's when the Dark Eldar got a big redo. It was in 5th. The Sisters of Battle, Witch Hunter book disappeared, and they got a White Dwarf, 2 White Dwarfs. You had to buy 2 White Dwarfs to get the Sisters of Battle codex. It was that was the beginning of that downward spiral. And that was the Sisters for a very, very long time. Games Workshop going in a circle. No one's buying because we got all models. We got new ones. We're not going to buy. No one's buying, so we're not going to be new models. And I own those 2 White Dwarfs. Yeah, they were. You got one had like all the special rules for the army and characters and all that. The second one had the actual army. So you need to get both in order to get the full army, which I thought was a bit silly. Obviously, Games Workshop wanted to sell those White Dwarfs, but not the way to do it, GW. Not the way to do it. But yeah, made some real good progress. I hope you guys are having fun painting wherever you're painting. I got there's the sergeant of the squad. He's all highlighted and the silver's done. So now it's just getting some of these wiring done and the gold, some green in there for the laurels, skull there. Wog, yeah, the Hypersapien areas. Wog. I had 2 opposite ends of auto separate hobby shops to get them. Yeah. Squig Buggy crew for me. Nice. Yeah, I remember I remember when we still have lots of stores in Ottawa. It's the major city that I live near. I remember when we had 2 Games Workshop stores there. That was pretty crazy too. Those were the the days of plenty before the Lord of the Rings bubble burst. I talked about that in the last stream. That they that poor bubble burst, and then everything went. But yeah, no, it's that I think that's the problem. Whenever you end an edition, people who got their last kind of feel a little ripped off. I think. I'm just looking at the chat here, but yeah, I think whenever you get to the end of edition, the last people always feel ripped off because they got the brand new hotness, and it's like, oh, by the way, the edition's over, we're changing everything. It's like, oh, and this isn't just like one of those back in the day, like 4th to 5th or 5th to 6th, where the codex will still carry over. There'll be some slight changes here. This is the way that they've changed up these data slates is it's a big change, right? It's a big enough change that it's pretty big. It's not as big as a change from 2nd to 3rd, which is massive, but it's bigger than 7th to 8th with the initiative going away, movement rates coming back in. This is right up there. The fact that they've separated melee and shooting into its own little things, the fact that leadership's changed, and the stat lines have gone down, and it's a big change. So I feel bad for people who've gotten like the World Eaters Codex or the Guard Codex, because it's like, hey, here it is. You got it right at the end of last year, beginning this year, and you've got 6-7 months to have fun with it, and then it's gone, right? Obviously, all the new models will stay, which is good, but it's kind of it's a bit much, I think. I mean, we're gonna have to buy another Space Marine Codex. I'll have 10 of them now, or no, 9 of them now when all's said and done at the end of this edition. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And with that, guys, I think I'm gonna end the stream there. It's getting late here. It's almost midnight. I really, really appreciate all of you guys taking the time out to view this and hear my ramblings and my craziness. It really does mean a lot to me. We got some models painted. We got a step closer to finishing these guys off, which makes me happy because I definitely want to get them done. But I really do appreciate it, and it means a lot to me to have so many awesome people wanting to listen to me. It's weird. It's still, even after all this time being on YouTube and putting stuff out there, people actually want to hear what I have to say, which boggles my mind to this day, and probably always will. But with that, have a night, man. And thank you very much, guys. As always, guys, keep rolling those dice. I say at the end of the video, you're very cool life. You just bust open the Age of Sigmar Tempest Souls box. Old box, but cool. Hey, man, that Tempest Souls was pretty cool. I think that other set came from that set, I think. Anyways, but yes, awesome. Thank you, Mini Warmut. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully, and have a wonderful week. We'll see you guys later. Bye.